All right, it's 2023. I'm going to show you how I set up tracking and analytics, how I set up Google Tag Manager, how I fire conversions for different things. We're going to dive right into it. I'm going to show you Webflow and WordPress kind of side by side. So if you're trying to track conversions of form fills, you're trying to track when people click your phone number, if you're trying to you're trying to track things in Webflow or WordPress in 2023, this is your shot. So the two sites that I'm going to be working on here, I've got this little createmarketers.com, which is just a simple blog, and then I have Dickerson.CPA, which is a customer of ours. So right off the bat, the thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start with a Google Tag Manager. Instead of installing analytics, instead of installing all of the different JavaScript code, you want to use Google Tag Manager to do it. Now, in the WordPress, we're going to install it using the actual Google Site Kit, and then we're going to do it. It's clean on Webflow. So we'll dive right into it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start with Dickerson because this one's actually meaningful to us. I'm going to go to tagmanager.google.com. So Tag Manager is basically an envelope that will hold your all of your important JavaScript code. So we've got the Dickerson CPA, and I'm going to grab it right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I set it up. And then now I already opened this, but I haven't installed it yet. So I'm going to come into the admin over here. Yours will pop up and it'll have where you put in your business name, your URL and everything. But now I'm going to install the Tag Manager. So you're going to get to this part. Now in the head, I'm going to grab this head code. I'm going to come into on Webflow. I'm going to go into my project here. I'm going to hit settings and I'm going to go into where we can put code. And I'm going to come way down to custom code. Again, this is Webflow adding Google Tag Manager in 2023. I'm going to paste that head code. Yeah, I've got the head code right here. The head code goes right there. And then the second part in the body, I'm going to grab this body code and I'm going to put that down here. And I'm going to hit save and I'm going to hit save. Okay. Now that's how you do it on Webflow. I am going to hit publish right away. There's one more thing I'm just going to check because I'm doing his optimization here. I want to come to SEO. I want to make sure that his sitemap is turned on. I want to go to general. I'd like to make sure that it's set in English, that we have the localization set properly, and that I've turned off the Webflow branding. So I'm going to hit publish. That's going to get published. Now at the same time, I'm going to come through real quick and I'm going to do one for this WordPress. Okay, now there's a way to do WordPress that I prefer compared to adding in all the other heading codes and all this. Use the Google system. Okay, so I'm going to come back. I'm going to create a Google Tag Manager. This is how you do Google Tag Manager in WordPress. So if you're doing WordPress, I think this is by far the best way. I'm going to come in and go to the accounts page. I'm going to go create new account. Now this is going to be called Create Marketers, which is going to be a resource, and I'm going to put in the URL. So it's just asking us information. I'm going to be installing it on a web platform. So I'm going to hit web, I'm going to hit create, and I'm going to accept all their, let them spy on everybody that hits this website. And I hit all that. Now I've got a heading code and a body code, but I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to get out of it. And here's how you install this. Now, I prefer installing the Tag Manager and allowing the Tag Manager to fire analytics code and everything else. And you'll see how in WordPress, it's a little different. So in WordPress, to install Google Tag Manager, here's what I recommend. You go back to your dashboard, whatever you've got, and you're going to come down to plugins. Now, I recommend hitting add new, and we're going to add the Google Site Kit. So if you just come here and type in Google as a public one, and I like using Site Kit by Google Analytics, and it'll install the Search Console and a handful of other things. Now, because of that, I am going to do one thing quick. I am going to, we'll do it. Let's go into Search Console, and I'm going to create a Search Console for this too. So in Search Console, so it's Google Search Console, I'm going to come in, I'm going to add a property, okay? And what I have to do is I either add in the domain, which I'd prefer to do, or the URL prefix. I've gotten to this point where I do the domain every time, and I'm going to go, createmarketers.com. I'm a big copy and paste fan. I don't like doing things with that. Now, Google Search Console and Bing Search Console or Microsoft Search Console are two really important things to do. So I'm going to just hit continue on that Search Console. It actually did it right away. So I'm going to hit done. It's probably going to say you need to verify. If you just hit done with that, it will verify through this method. Okay. So now when I'm in here, I installed this Google Site Kit. Now I'm going to activate it. And essentially what's going to happen is it's going to log in. Once I get going here, it's up on the top. So the Sidekick is here. I'm going to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to do sign in with Google. And as we get going here, you're just going to hit next. I don't need you to see everything that I got going. So you're going to keep hitting next until the Sitekit is going. And now it says you're already verified. Google detected that you're the owner of Create Marketers. That's because I think I own that as a Google domain. Usually what you're going to have to do is add a TXT file to the DNS registrations. So when I added this sitemap, it would have done that. But we're going to keep moving. So, when you came in and added this search. So we're going to go to createmarketers.com. So as I hit next, allow metrics, I just keep saying okay on all this. It's already in the Search Console. Otherwise, that would have hooked up the Search Console. Now I'm going to go to my dashboard. And again, I don't want it to create an analytics account or anything. Here's what I want. It will kind of automatically start doing some interesting stuff. If I hit set up Google Analytics, I don't want to do that. What I'd like to do is go to settings here. And then I'd like to go over to connect more services. So settings, connect more services. And then I want to go Google Tag Manager. I want to set up the Google Tag Manager. And so again, this is how to set up Google Tag Manager inside of a WordPress website. So then we can fire conversion actions, Google Analytics G4, and I'm going to show you everything on how to do that. So hold on just a second while I grab my account. So here's createmarketers.com. It'll look for the container. That's the container. I'm going to hit confirm and continue. And now what we've got is we've got a tag manager or an actual Google Tag Manager container. Now there's nothing in there. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. So over here in Dickerson, we're going to start with Dickerson because this is a little bit more important. This is a great CPA out of Austin, Texas. And so I'm going to go up to my Tag Manager. I'm going to grab his container. Whoop, and here's what we're going to do now is we're going to set up Google Analytics G4 on Webflow and Google Analytics G4 on WordPress. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Google Analytics. If you already have an account, it's a little confusing to understand that you've got accounts and then properties, okay? And so I have my master account, which I make a property, and then again, I went to the home, I went down here, I went to admin, and now I'm going to set something up. But what I'm going to do is you might need to create an account, and then you're going to create a property. So in Google G4 Analytics, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit, this is under my account, that's fine. I'm going to go to create property. And as I hit create property, I'm going to do Dickerson CPA. I'm going to hit next. This is a small business. It's for business. You just pick whatever. I don't know that it really matters that much. There is one setting in here. So here it says choose your business objectives. You know, we really want to do a little bit of everything. So I like get baseline reporting. It gives us a little bit of everything. I'm going to hit create. And now this is where it gets confusing. We're going to deploy this in the web by using Google Tag Manager. It pops up right away, and I am going to again, I don't know why I do this enough that I want to make sure I'm copy and pasting all the time. And so it's Dickerson CPA, and I'm going to hit create the stream. It's kind of weird. We create streams when it comes to Google Analytics G4. So yours might have looked a little bit different. Mine already had an account set up. Now it says installation instructions. I don't use this. Don't install this manually. I'm actually going to hit X here. And this used to be called, and so what we're going to do is we're looking for this measurement ID. The measurement ID, not stream ID, but the measurement ID. I'm going to grab that, okay? And now if you didn't know where this was, we'll just go home. If you kind of set this up and you can't find the measurement ID, you go down to admin and you go down to data streams and you go create stream. Well, now I have a stream, and you click here and you grab the measurement ID of the stream. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to his Google Tag Manager, and you have triggers and tags. Well, there's already some triggers in here that it's basically all pages. What we're going to do is we're going to go to tags. And so this is going to be a little wrapper, and inside this I'm going to go new, and I'm going to call this G4 Analytics, Dickerson. And so you have the triggering. On triggering, I want it to go on all pages. That's already in there. So every page will fire this tag. And then the tag configuration, what do I want it to be? I'm going to go to Google Analytics, and there's a thing called Google Tag. And this is just most recently changed. There's the G4 event, which we're going to do in a second. We don't do Analytics UA anymore, Classic. So we're going to do the Google Tag. Okay, and in this Google Tag, the tag ID is actually that stream ID, which is really weird. I don't know why. That measurement ID, tag ID, that's what you're putting in there. So now what's happening is on all pages, this will fire, and this whole system is going to go through because I have it published on their Webflow. So I'm just going to hit save, and now we have this. So I'm going to hit submit and analytics. So this will just fire the analytics real quick into this, okay? And you would do essentially the same thing for everything's the same now. Nothing differs between the Webflow setup and the WordPress setup. But what I just did there, I hit submit to publish this whole thing, right? So analytics is set up. I hit publish. I could add notes in there, but you're creating these tags, creating the tags, and then you hit publish and it goes. Now I have hit publish here. So when I open this up, I'm going to show you how to test this out real quick. So again, we've got a Google Analytics here. If I head up to the home page, this takes a couple minutes to show. When you go to reports, you can head into reports and you can go real time. And this should show you the real time. I am going to pull this up on my phone as well as the, so if I go dickersons.cpa, not CLA.cpa. And what this will do is I'm trying to fire on my phone. I want a particular thing to show up. And I'm also going to go in and I'm going to actually test it. Again, I'm literally live on this right now, and it takes a minute or two. It kind of, all of a sudden it'll pop up, but I can test this through the tag manager. And so if I go back to the workspace here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go preview, and this will allow me to preview my, my actual tag manager. So I'm going to go preview. I'm going to hit add in the URL. And what this does is it's going to be tracking it in this tab, and you'll be viewing it on this tab. So this one, I'm going to hit continue. And now everything I do in this tab, so if I click services, business valuation, you'll notice that it will track it over here. So now I open a new page. Here's the new page. So I click the link and then it went through. Well, what I see is analytics is not fired on that. That's kind of weird. Tags fired analytics. So the analytics did get fired eventually. There it is. So on the container load is what it did. So I do have analytics is in there. It is firing. Now what I want to show you is I want to track these phone numbers. So when we build websites, we always try and have a button that goes to a consultation page, which is very simple, right? That's really not a complex thing. And then the second thing we want to do is when you click this phone number, that goes to the URL. Now we work really hard to make sure it's, TEL plus : like the phone number. If you pay attention to this is down here. Way on the lower left, you can see the phone number, and we're very intentional about how we do that so that it's all the same everywhere. So if I go right click and go copy this link, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire a tag, an event into Google Analytics when I click that, and then I'm also going to fire one where when I fill out this form, this particular form, there's a couple, I'm going to show you two ways to track forms in just a second here, okay? So as I do this, I'm going to come back and I'm going to go into his Google Tag Manager, and now we need to have a variable or an actual trigger that fires when I click that phone number. Well, that phone number is, I make it so that it's a URL that's TEL : plus and that number. So I'm actually going to go click copy. Now watch this. We have to add this variable. It's kind of weird so that we don't have the ability to do a click URL, which is what we're going to add. So we're going to go to variables and we're going to go to configure. And there's two types of ingredients we want here essentially for Google Tag Manager. I want to do click URL for sure. And then I do form ID, form URL. And that's really all we do. We've got this narrowed down. So now those are like ingredients we can use. So we can use refer, page URL, all of these other things. I'm going to go up to triggers and I'm going to create a trigger. I'm going to create two triggers, but the first one is going to be, I call it click, phone click, and so when we go here, now I'm going to go configure the trigger configuration. I name it so I know what it is and it's distinct. I click on this, and then what I'm going to do is just, so when you click, not all elements, but a link. So that's what we just added is this link. If you don't see links there, you got to go back to the variables and add it. Now, I'm going to have this trigger go not when all links are clicked, but when some links are clicked. Well, which ones? When the click URL, you could either say equals, but I don't do equals. I do contains this URL. So click URL, not page URL, not form URL, none of that. It's click URL. not click element, but click URL, contains this. Now, there's sometimes when it gets a referrer, like if you've come from a Google ad or something, you'll see like a UTM code get added to things. So I do contains that. If I click that, that's going to fire. I'm going to hit save. Now, the second thing I like to do is I like to track the form getting fired. Now, in WordPress, you're going to have some trouble with this. So I'm going to show you how to do a form conversion really easily in both Webflow and in the other thing. But I like to do this. Basically what happens, I come to the form, I go to the first input, I right click and I go inspect. And what I'm looking for is, it's called the form ID. So if I inspect in Chrome and I move up just a little bit, what you'll see is up here, I've got the form ID. It says form space ID equals, and inside these parentheses, this is what I'm going to grab. So I'm going to grab that, and that's going to be the form ID I want to fire. So I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to do another trigger. The trigger is when that form is submitted. Now, I added the variable of form. So again, I had to come into variable, had to go to configure, had to go to form ID, and that's how I do it with Webflow. I like that. It doesn't dump all the cookies. It's kind of nice. I'm going to go into triggers. I'm going to go new trigger, and I'm going to call this like form ID submit. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to come down to form. Okay, so form submission, user engagement, form submission. Once I've got the form submission, when you fire not all forms, but some forms. Well, which forms is that? It's going to be the form ID contains that thing that did not copy. Grab that again and paste it. So when the form ID has this in there, which I usually do contains, whatever. This is just a nice little way to do it. I'm going to hit save. All right, so now what I've got is I've got two triggers. I am going to show you on WordPress, or if you can't find a form ID, you can't find any of that, here's a really easy way to make a conversion action, okay? There's a tool called the UTM creation tool. And so the link is UTM campaign URL builder. It's Google Analytics Development Tools / campaign URL builder. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this just so that you can see. And the idea would be, most form tools allow for a redirect. So when the form's filled out, it goes to a redirect, okay? And what I'm going to do is, I'm knowing that I might use this if I'm using a CRM, like if you're using Go High Level or using Active Campaign. This is a sneaky way. You kind of lose some of the cookies and stuff, but you can track it here. And the idea is, I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, when I fill out this form, let's have it redirect to, I could make a distinct thank you page, but you don't need to do that. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to come here and I'm going to grab his URL, and I'm going to make a thank you. So here's what's going to happen. I got to make sure web, and I'm over here on the campaign URL builder, okay? I am going to do GA4. That's funny. GA4. I'm going to come here. I'm going to push that in there. And then I usually just I put in a form conversion, a campaign source. You don't need them all here, but I tend to do them all so it's tracked. It's a little messy, but so what it does here is, when you come down here, it has a URL that it kicks out, okay? And so it's a UTM. So everything after that question mark are UTM codes, which will fire into analytics. So I'm just going to grab that. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say in Google Tag Manager now, if this, so I'm going to go triggers, new, and I'm going to go UTM page load conversion is what I'm going to call it, okay? And I'm going to go, here's the type of trigger we're going to do. If you do a page view, not all page views, but some page views, and if the page view URL, the page URL, not path, not host, URL, contains that UTM, that will fire a trigger. So what will happen is, I can now go into a form, if I have a form, and have it redirect to this URL, and that can be a trigger that gets used. I'm just going to have that just in case. It's kind of a best practice we do in case we use some other system down the road. It could be Calendly. That's another way to track a Calendly. And now the thing you got to be cognizant of is if they click that multiple times, it will fire a conversion. So that's a little annoying, but it's a way to make it work. Okay, so what we've done is if you submit my form, that's that form ID. If I click that URL, which is my click to call, or if I UTM load that page, we have these triggers. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go into Google Analytics quick, and I'm going to create an event for that. Now it's kind of annoying. Just real quick, go into this initial one and grab your tag ID. You're going to need that, okay? This is new. So, okay, I got the tag ID copied. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to hit new. And this is going to be my click to call analytics event. I'm going to go tag configuration, Google Analytics, and then Google Analytics G4 event. So when you click this, I want to fire an event. We got to put the measurement ID in there, which is why I had you copy it. And we're going to give this a distinct name. I like to do like click phone Dickerson. I don't put spaces in there. You could do underscores if you really want. I don't really care. But don't put spaces in there because there's some stuff you can do with analytics to make audiences. And if there's a space, for some reason, it doesn't work. So come down to, so this is going to fire this analytic. You can leave pretty much everything else. I'm going to come down to trigger, and I'm going to say, well, when does this go? When you click this Dickerson. So when you trigger is the click of the URL of the phone, it will fire this event into that analytics. I'm going to hit save. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing for the form fill. So I'm going to go form analytics event. Triggering is the form ID. And the tag is Google Analytics G4 event. I'm going to hit paste. Boom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a name. So it's form submit Dickerson. I'm going to hit save. Okay. Now by now, if I come over here, you can see it finally loaded in this real time. Again, you got to go home, reports, go into real time, and I can see, oh yeah, look at that. I clicked around and actually did something. That's really cool. You can see the pages I went to. Not only that, but I'm also testing it over here. Now I'll have to reload it type of deal, which is what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to hit submit so that this saves into the Google Tag Manager. So we got events. Now, this is also a powerful tool that you will use to do Google Ads conversions as well. So now what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of, I can't remember if you got to stop this or not. So I think I am going to stop debugging. And what we'll do is we'll go, we'll stop debugging all over the place. Dickerson CPA, we're going to start debugging again. And we'll get this loaded. So now you can see over here. So again, as I click around in this tab, it's showing me what's happening on the far left. And so tags fired, I've got the analytics in there. That's good. And as I click around, I'll go another page just to see that that goes. Other page. Now we'll click the phone. Bloop. On a computer, it doesn't work well. And when I click that, outbound link, what is that? Did not work. Link click. Oh, there it is. So there it is. Click to call analytics event. Now, here's an important thing I'm going to show you, okay? I usually wait for it to show up in here, okay? But in analytics, we want to take that event and make it a conversion. The way you do that is you go down to admin, you come into events. I'm going to have to go to today, and this takes a little bit of time to show up. You will see your events here. I'm going to go to a different one so that you can see what this actually looks like. And you'll go to like, in fact, I don't know if I did it on his yet. So here's another customer. You'll see all the events. It's normal things like click to call. And here's the form. And you want to click and turn this on and mark it as a conversion. And then you can come in and go to reports. And then you can go to like engagement or acquisition. And you can go traffic acquisition. And what you'll see here is, hey, how are we getting our conversions? As I scroll over here, here's my conversion events. We had 32 events, almost all from paid search. Got a couple from direct, couple from organic, and 3 from there. So that's how that's ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to set up that analytics event. So the other thing I'm going to do now is I am going to come in and I'm going to test that form to make sure that the form submits. Business valuation, Rob is testing. Yes, you can reach out to me. Yes, I'm not a robot. And I'm going to hit submit. Now that should go. Now, we always redirect to a Calendly, and there's a reason why. Because I want to fire this form submit. So again, it's kind of weird. There's a couple form submits. You're going to have to look through here. But there we are. We got the analytics form submit. So I know that that's working. And now we've just set up tracking for your Google Analytics, your Google Tag Manager. And again, what's cool about when you use the site kit and put this in there, now I've got everything set up. Now I'm going to show you two more things real quick that are super important. We're going to set up your search console to your Google Analytics. This is a very important step. Okay, so I'm going to come back to Dickerson. And this is one of those, there's a report in here that's really kind of fun, okay? You're going to go back and I'm going to hit admin. This is a critical setup for your Google Analytics. Set up the search console. When you set up your Google Ads account, you're going to want to do this too. But come back, go to your admin, come on down, and I want you to go. So again, you're going to come into events. And when your events propagate here, mark only those ones that we fired as conversions. Then I want you to come down and I want you to go and I want you to link. So product links, I recommend linking to your Google Ads account and linking to your Search Console. If you link this, so I go link to Search Console, I'm gonna hit link. It's gonna have me choose from this account. I know I got a million of them, right? So, oh, come on. I thought I had it. Hold on just a minute here. Oh, I realized I didn't create Dickerson CPA in the Search Console yet. So I'm going to go add property. I'm going to do Dickerson.cpa. I'm going to hit continue. Now the nice thing about, so this is usually what would pop up. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this TXT, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put that in. I'm going to go log into his DNS so you can see this. I'm actually going to put this TXT. I'll show you what that looks like. Actually, no, that's going to be a different video. So long story short, you're going to come here, you're going to link your properties. So go choose account, link the Search Console, and then you select your web stream and hit go. And then there's this cool report that pops up. It's this new insights. So it's kind of a goofy URL. But now you can see, like, since October 2020, how many clicks have I had? It gives you all sorts of cool stuff. It's like a mix between Google Analytics, average engagement time, Google Analytics with your Search Console. What's your most popular stuff? What are the Search Console information, the traffic? Where is it coming from? What are the main searches people are doing? What's working for you? And it's pretty cool. So make sure you go into Analytics, you connect that. And then the other thing you want to do is, if you have Google Ads, you got to get that connected. Good luck. God bless. Hopefully that shows you how to fire Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics in both Webflow and in WordPress. Good luck. God bless.